He famously said, "I am going to disappear like a witch." Why? I do not know. It is just my way to do it. Doctors handed him prescription opioids for years to mask his severe gridiron injuries. He was the absolute most unstoppable force in the NFL. At 5 feet 11 and over 230 pounds, Earl Campbell was a remarkably explosive starter. He possessed thighs so massive that the Houston Oilers equipment manager famously had to custom build gear just for him. Hit like and subscribe to join our sports analysis team. Earl Campbell never ran around defenders. He pulverized them. For an entire generation of football fans, he was more than a player. He was a human wrecking ball wrapped in that iconic number 34 jersey. That is over 1,000 yards. But Campbell is now nearly 72, and the grueling life he lives today is a far cry from those Louvia Blue glory days. You and I are about to explore a story you will never forget. This is the making of a legend. Born on March 29, 1955, in Tyler, Texas, Earl Christian Campbell entered the world as the sixth of 11 children. His father, Bert, passed away when Earl was only 11. Poverty was a harsh reality. The family was massive, and life was incredibly tough from day one. But even as a child, something about Earl was different. He started playing football in the 5th grade as a kicker. By 6th grade, after watching Dick Butkus destroy opponents on television, he switched to linebacker and never looked back. His mother, Ann, desperately tried to talk him out of playing high school football. "I discouraged Earl," she later admitted, adding, "but he always loved football." Thankfully, she did not succeed. In 1973, Campbell led John Tyler High School to the Texas 4A state championship, earning him the title of Mr. Football USA, the top national high school player. Every major college program in America came calling. Oklahoma's Barry Switzer made his pitch. Darrell Royal flew in from Austin. In the end, Campbell chose to stay home and became a Longhorn. What followed was absolute magic. During his time at the University of Texas, Campbell won the 1977 Heisman Trophy, leading the country with 1,744 yards and 18 touchdowns. The Heisman went to Earl Campbell of the University of Texas. He was a unanimous All-American, proving to be everything the game had promised and more. In the 1978 draft, the Houston Oilers selected him as the first overall pick, handing him a 6-year deal worth $1.4 million, a truly staggering sum back then. Campbell was about to completely redefine the running back position across the entire league, National Football League. Hit subscribe to see how this legend dominated the gridiron. What Campbell achieved in his first 3 professional seasons was almost mythical. During his rookie campaign, he ran for a league-best 1,450 yards, taking home Offensive Rookie of the Year honors and the league-wide Offensive Player of the Year title and multiple MVP awards. Like this video as we analyze the Houston Oilers sparked the legendary Love Ya Blue era, and this powerhouse was the beating heart of it all. Then came 1979. With quarterback Dan Pastorini injured, Campbell carried the entire offensive load on his back. He put up 195 yards and 2 scores against Dallas on Thanksgiving Day alone, finishing that year with 1,997 rushing yards and 19 touchdowns, breaking league records for most 100-yard performances, consecutive games, and total season carries. He won another league MVP, but the 1980 campaign was his masterpiece. Campbell exploded for 1,934 yards in only 15 games, crossing that 1,000-yard mark with ease. That averaged 128.9 yards per game, nearly eclipsing the historic single-season rushing record. Over 60% of his yardage came in the 4th quarter, earning him the nickname of the toughest in the 4th. He claimed his 2nd league MVP. Unstoppable does not even cover it, yet the warning signs were already there. Franco Harris of the Pittsburgh Steelers warned, "Knocking over people looks good, but you cannot do it forever. Eventually, someone else is going to be the one who knocks you flat." Let us look closer at this tragedy together. Coach Bum Phillips ignored the warnings, famously declaring that he had been looking for a back like Earl for years. He would not change his style, arguing Earl did everything other backs did, just better. Those words aged terribly. Every single yard Campbell gained came with a physical toll that would be collected decades down the road. Then, his body began to break down. Warning signs were ignored, and the pain became real. On the gridiron, Campbell was not just bruising defenders. He was absorbing physical trauma that no human body, you and I know that no human body is designed to survive an 8-year career taking brutal hits on every single carry. He carried the ball more than any running back of his era, logging 373 carries in 1980 alone, a record back then. Houston Oilers equipment manager Byron Donzis once famously joked about Campbell's massive frame, saying they made 4 sizes: thigh pads small, medium, large, and Earl Campbell. The crowd laughed, but those tree trunk thighs and that 230-pound frame were hammering into linebackers and safeties hundreds of times a season. At 5'11" and 232 pounds, Earl Campbell was a remarkably explosive runner. But his spine was quietly paying the ultimate. Former running back Ron Johnson, whose own career was cut short by injuries, warned back then that you could run like that in college. But you can't do that for 10 years and hope to survive. Campbell did not make it 10 years. The physical deterioration started showing before most fans noticed. By 1983, with the struggling Oilers collapsing to a losing record, Campbell finally hit his breaking point. On November 6th of that year, after being pulled in the second half of a blowout, lost to the Cincinnati Bengals, he aired his frustrations publicly, saying he was tired of hearing every single week how he was washed up, too dumb to read holes, couldn't block, and couldn't catch the football. He demanded a trade. The next year, in October 1984, the Oilers traded him to the New Orleans Saints for a first-round draft pick. Subscribe now to track this reunion with Bum Phillips that should have been triumphant, but instead was the beginning of the end. Campbell retired during the 1986 preseason with 9,407 yards and 74 touchdowns. His body had nothing left to give, breaking down with severe arthritis and foot drop and spinal stenosis. That is when the real suffering began, creeping up slowly to make it even worse for him. By 2001, when Campbell was only 46 years old, he could barely close his fist. Arthritis had set in so severely in his hands that basic gripping was a struggle. He then developed foot drop, a condition caused by nerve damage in his legs that makes it difficult to lift the front of the foot, turning every step into a calculated effort, bending his back and knees. These are basic movements that you and I take entirely for granted, yet they became serious challenges for a man who once outran NFL defenses. He confessed, saying he got on his knees and accepted that he had a problem. In 2009, doctors finally gave his damage a name: spinal stenosis, a narrowing of the spinal canal that causes excruciating pain, numbness, and total weakness. At this stage, Campbell underwent multiple back surgeries, including a complex spinal fusion in July 2008. Doctors removed 8 screws and 2 metal rods that had loosened and were pressing directly against his nerves. Let that sink in for a second. 8 screws and 2 rods. The hardware meant to hold his spine together actually became the source of his agony, with doctors prescribing heavy opioids for years to manage his relentless sports injuries. Initially, Campbell believed these problems were genetic, but by 2012, he admitted publicly that some of it surely came from playing football, playing the brutal way he did. The daily reality of his life was jarring. The man who once required multiple defenders just to be brought down now needed a cane, a walker, or sometimes a wheelchair for long distances. His son Christian later confirmed to sports reporters that both of Campbell's knees were fully replaced, entirely. Talk about a cruel twist. The underlying condition that stole his mobility was always lurking there inside him, and the violent sport of football simply accelerated it into overdrive. Now to his darkest chapter, painkiller addiction and rock bottom. Like this video as things got even darker, because living with that level of constant, relentless physical pain changes a person completely. It wears them down in ways that go far beyond the physical. His doctors prescribed highly potent opioid pain medications to manage his spinal stenosis, including Vicodin and OxyContin. What started as legitimate medical treatment quickly spiraled out of control. At the absolute worst point of his addiction, Campbell was taking up to 10 OxyContin pills a day, and he was washing them down with cold beer every single day. He would later reflect bitterly, saying he had no idea that the biggest drug pushers in the world are our doctors. That is a man who felt completely betrayed by the system he had trusted with his health. His speech began to slur, he pushed his family away, and he started missing important engagements. The man, who was declared an official Texas state hero in 1981 by the legislature, was quietly disappearing before our eyes. Campbell later described his massive daily intake in one of those quietly devastating moments of self-minimization that so many of us struggle with, saying it was perhaps 4 or 5 of those pills every single day, beers every day. And when I would feel like pain, I would take 2 or 3 pain pills or something like that. Most folks around him knew those numbers were actually low. But the real turning point finally came in November 2009 when his sons, Tyler and Christian, staged an intervention. They sat their father down for one of the most brutal and honest conversations in the Campbell family history. His son, Tyler, told him straight up, "This is not what we want, and you are messed up. You are going to be like Michael Jackson. You will be dead." The pop star had passed just months prior from an overdose. That harsh reality hit hard. Earl recalled his next drive to the barbershop, staring at his own reflection in the rearview mirror. Absolutely broken. "I felt that small," he admitted. "I felt like I had failed at everything because my own kids knew." He checked into a rehab facility in South Austin in November 2009, planning for 28 days. It stretched to 44. During group therapy, one evening, surrounded by people from completely different worlds, something clicked. Listening to a story from a heroin addict, he realized it was his exact same struggle. "I got to my room and asked God for forgiveness to take that beer and pain medicine away from me." He dropped to his knees, finally admitting he was defeated. Then came the financial wreckage, bad business deals, empty restaurants, and brutal lessons. While battling these personal demons, his business ventures were also hitting some extreme turbulence. Back in 1990, he launched his own meat company, bringing classic Texas smoked sausage and barbecue sauce to the public. It sold great, but then he overextended. In 1999, the legend opened a restaurant on Austin's famous 6th Street. But that location was a massive mistake from the jump. That street is for wild nightlife, not family dinners. Plus, the monthly rent was astronomical. The place bled cash, shutting down in February 2001. Shortly after that, his entire food brand slipped into bankruptcy. Earl felt like he was about to completely vanish. Why did it happen? I do not know. That was just my path. A major Texas sports profile in September 2001 detailed the fall. He admitted back then, "I did not know the industry. This was the first time I hit a wall that I absolutely could not run through." For a guy who used to steamroll defenders on the gridiron, that confession was incredibly heavy. But a local sausage maker stepped up, took over the debt, and saved the brand from dying. They kept producing those famous hot links and even launched a successful spice business alongside it. That pivot saved the brand. If you love stories of sports legends bouncing back, hit that subscribe button. The restructured company quickly became a national powerhouse, selling millions of hot links coast to coast. Today, you can grab his sausages at Walmart, Amazon, and grocery stores everywhere. That business crisis that almost ruined him actually built a lasting empire. Proof that great comebacks do not just happen on the turf. Next, we look at the quarterback comments that triggered severe backlash. Look, as an editor, no real profile on this man is complete without addressing 2019. That year, his comments to a local Texas newspaper set off an absolute media firestorm. Talking about his beloved Longhorns football program, the legend put it bluntly to reporters, "Until Texas realizes you have to start a black quarterback. And nothing against the current guy, you need a talented black quarterback. All these winning schools, even in the pros, have them. When guys are not open, they make plays happen." The backlash was instant. Detractors quickly labeled those comments flat-out racist, pointing directly to Tom Brady, Trevor Lawrence, and other championship-winning passers as proof he was wrong. The criticism cut deep because of who was saying it. He is a Texas sports icon. Social media exploded, and sports writers went wild. Was he just trying to support black athletes? Or was it something worse? Fans debated it for weeks. He never backed down from his stance, leaving a complicated mark on his legacy. Legacy of a man who gave everything to Texas football. This is the raw story of Earl Campbell, the triumph, pain, and human flaws. Like this video as we cover his son Tyler's battle, multiple sclerosis. Here is a layer of this NFL legend's story we rarely talk about. While Earl was battling his own demons of addiction and physical breakdown, his family was hit with another devastating blow. Tyler Campbell, son of the Hall of Fame running back, was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis in 2007 while playing at San Diego State. He was projected to follow his father's footsteps directly into the NFL, a rising college star with true professional promise. But after a scan confirmed the diagnosis, Tyler hid the secret from his teammates, continuing to play during the 2008 season. After his pro day in 2009, he suffered a severe relapse. Doctors stepped in and permanently ended his dreams of playing in the NFL. Earl was completely shattered, admitting he did not even understand what MS meant at first. But the turnaround that followed is one of the most inspiring chapters of this entire sports biography. Earl, dealing with his own grueling physical rehab, started joining his son in training sessions. This shared struggle forged an incredibly powerful, unique connection. A legendary father with a battered body and a son facing an unpredictable autoimmune disease, standing side by side, fighting together. Tyler later reflected, quote, "While it might be hard to believe, dealing with MS has made my life richer, giving me deeper purpose and bringing my family closer. My father inspires me to keep grinding and never give up." End quote. What did Tyler teach his iconic father in return? Perhaps that the golden rule Earl always preached to Campbell never quits meant everything in the game of life, not just on the gridiron. Subscribe as we analyze this, recovery, sobriety, and ultimate legacy. At age 71, Earl Campbell proudly announced online that he reached 15 years of sobriety after defeating his addiction to prescription painkillers. In a social media post, the Texas legend noted October 11th marked his 15th sober anniversary. That was back in 2023, meaning that today in 2026, Campbell is closing in on 17 years clean. 17 years. Man, I miss it. I used to have so much back pain. So, you don't have back pain right now while standing? He has dedicated every single one of those sober years to speaking openly about what he went through. Speaking at a major charity event, Campbell declared, quote, "I have been sober for 9 years. And I want everyone to know it is the greatest achievement of my life. Better than winning the Heisman, bigger than entering the Pro Football Hall of Fame, greater than Canton." End quote. That is the perspective of a man who has survived the ultimate drop and come back with absolute conviction. He now champions non-narcotic pain management. He trains diligently, prays, and constantly lifts up others fighting substance abuse with simple, powerful messages posted online, reading, "Keep fighting one day at a time." But in January 2026, malicious, false rumors started circulating on social networks claiming the legend was hospitalized. Campbell immediately went live on his official page to set things straight, writing, "Please do not believe the rumors. I am doing great and have not been hospitalized for anything. My health is great." He backed those words up by attending the Tyler Rose Award banquet in Texas on January 22, 2026. In late 2025, he also made the trip to Canton, Ohio. The Tyler Rose is still proving he is a fighter. Living at nearly 72, this is how Earl Campbell survives today. So how does this legend actually live? Today, at nearly 72 years old? The honest answer is carefully, painfully, but still with tremendous purpose, dealing with a heavy slate of chronic issues, including intense arthritis and a failing back. He was forced to use a walking cane starting in his late 40s. Today, an electric scooter handles his daily movement at public events and stadium venues. His knees, both artificial, still trigger constant discomfort. His spine, battered from thousands of NFL collisions and multiple surgeries, will never be fully repaired. This completely reshapes your perspective on the world. He still tells reporters honestly, "I use my Bowflex machine and work out. I find that my pain gets a little better, but I can't sit here and lie to you and say that I don't still have pain in my back because I do." That kind of raw honesty is deeply admirable, and yet the legend still shows up. He still runs his businesses. He operates a thriving food business while simultaneously serving as a special advisor to the athletic department at the University of Texas. He continues to personally host the annual sports banquet that honors his name. He travels back to the Hall of Fame regularly and frequently writes personal messages of encouragement to online groups battling addiction. He remains dedicated to guiding youth, telling them to subscribe and stay strong, the hazards of painkiller addiction. Today, the legend is still fighting. His current net worth sits at around $20 million. Built from his gridiron contracts, a successful food brand, sponsorships, and paid events. That painful 2001 bankruptcy is history now, but the physical toll of his legendary career is a daily tax. Every single morning, Earl Campbell opens his eyes. It is a brutal reminder of the price pro football demands long after the final whistle blows. This is a story of gridiron glory, deep pain, addiction, and incredible recovery. All of it is raw, human, and real. The Hall of Famer almost lost his health, his business, and his sanity after his playing days, but the Tyler Rose refused to quit. What part of his journey shocked you most? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And do us a favor, hit that like button right now and subscribe to NFL Rivals so you never miss our next big feature.